Hello. Today we're going to discuss some basic principles of dowsing, how dowsing works, its history just a little bit, and how it applies to the World Radionic Broadcast System and other types of clearing of negation that are done. First of all, one needs to remember that it is not the dowsing tool that does the dowsing, it is the person. All dowsing is an exaggeration of minor muscle movements. It's similar to muscle testing, kinesiology, that I'm sure many of you have seen, or many chiropractors now commonly use kinesiology to examine people for allergies or other problems. On a more subtle scale, dowsing can help one perceive more complex disharmonies than, say, an overt allergy. Dowsing can help one perceive entities in the auric field or in the house. Dowsing can help one to perceive anything that is making a person or an animal weak or a house disharmonious. There are many types of dowsing, and all of them are based on this very common fact that whenever a person, particularly of a sun-soul type, is in a situation where there is an energy of a physical, mental, or spiritual nature that is disharmonious to that person, then they will get weak. This is a common cause of chronic viral syndrome, chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic candidiasis. Many of the so-called environmental illnesses on the planet today are actually due to disharmonies that are not originating in the physical plane. And that's what we're going to talk today about. First of all, to douse means that your body perceives a disharmonious energy and it becomes slightly weakened or altered in its normal muscular contractions. So if you did muscle testing on a person, you would hold the arm out and say, okay, you could put corn, say, on their chest and say, how does this make them weaker or stronger? And you can do almost the same thing by holding a real heavy carton of water straight out, and then you could pick up something and see if you feel weak, if your arm actually gets weak. That's a kind of a gross form of dowsing or muscle testing. Now, for a more subtle form of muscle testing or dowsing, you could use other tools that magnify the real fine muscles that, rather than getting your whole body weak. You know, like some of the old-time water dowsers would walk over a water vein and they get weak. That's why the rods that they would use would go down. You know, they would have the forked stick, and the forked stick goes down because the dowser gets weak over certain water vein crossings. Well, we're going to use that same principle, but what we want to do is refine it into a secret language. What we're doing is we're finding that there are nuances of dowsing that you can use to determine many things and also to determine treatment, because you'll find what makes one strong and harmonious. So you can use a tool such as, this is water dowsers and other dowsers have used L-rods for years, many years, and all they are little tubes of copper or another object and a little copper stick running in it in an L shape. And the idea is when you walk into a disharmonious energy, your subtle movements give and they fan out. So say you're walking into an energy and you hold them straight, and when you walk into that energy field, they fan out. The reason they fan out is that you perceive another density. It's as though you're walking in water and suddenly you're walking in gel, or you're walking in jello. It's kind of, there is a different consistency and density that causes a person's arms to kind of give at that point. So it is nothing mystical. A lot of people in some of the fundamental religions have mistakenly thought that these were tools of the devil or something, or that they call it witching, water witching, this sort of thing. And that's very wrong. It's not a correct way to look at it, because what divining is actually training the body to perceive other states of awareness in a heightened state, to develop a heightened state of awareness so that one can be a master of his own fate to some extent. It's like most people walk through the world and they're victims because they don't know how to perceive a disharmonious energy and they don't know how to transmute a disharmonious energy. The whole key to becoming a strong and healthy person is to understand how to detect disharmony and understand how to remove disharmony. And dowsing will help you to do both. So, say whatever your mind programs, the dowsing tool will perceive, because your mind can filter out other energies. So say if I wanted to only detect a disharmonious energy field of any kind, it's just say general disharmonious energy field, I could just take the L rods and I would point them straight out, and I would say, okay, mentally I say, I want to get a physical response when I walk into a disharmonious energy field. And you can say any disharmonious energy field. And as you walk, you walk slowly because remember you're walking into a different density, so you want to be able to get a chance to perceive it. So as you walk, you will be able to feel the disharmonious energy field. And your body then gives a little bit, kind of weakens slightly. And the L rods then magnify that movement and accentuate it so that you can perceive the density difference. It's not magical. There are other tools one can use. A pendulum. Now, a pendulum is, for this type of dowsing of an energy field in a house, is not quite as accurate because it moves too readily. But it's, wind will move it and stuff unless you have a heavy one. But you can say, okay, where is the disharmonious energy in this room? If you perceive one, the pendulum can kind of pull in one direction. It can pull that way. You'll find it swinging in the direction you're to look. And it's not the pendulum doing it. This is the mistake. I remember one time I was dowsing at my sister's house. My sister said, well, I see your hands moving it. And I said, of course my hand is moving it. The whole idea of dowsing is that your body is perceiving the disharmony. It's not some magical tool. That's why people that spend a whole lot of money on dowsing tools are making a mistake. Although there is one dowsing tool that's a little bit expensive that for the beginning dowser will greatly magnify the muscle movements and make him a lot more successful. This tool is called an aura meter. Now there are two varieties that I'm familiar with well, and a Cameron aura meter. This appears to be a Cameron aura meter. And then there is a Branson aura meter. The Branson aura meter is less expensive. The Cameron aura meter is around $60, $70, I believe. Is that correct? I think so. And the Branson aura meter is around $30 to $40. And the aura meter is very nice because it has a very sensitive spring. So even a person who is not highly sensitive to the nuances of different densities and dimensions can perceive almost anything with an aura meter, because in that way it helps a person learn because they're rewarded. They can perceive rapidly when there's a disharmony. So say if I was going to check a person's auric field. Could I have someone to check here? Come here. I'll give you a demonstration here. Okay. I'm going to ask for, say, a physical disharmonious area of her body. And so what I'm going to do is you have to step back when you do this because you want to walk into the disharmonious energy. So this is a general category. It's like I want my brain to tune into where is the disharmonious physical energy on her body. So I'm going to scan her with this, and I'm feeling as though right here there is a very disharmonious physical energy. See? And it's most disharmonious energies twitch. But in the beginning, what you would probably get when you douse this with an aura meter is a force field. because all disharmonious energies put off a type of a heat or a cold area that the body perceives as cool or warm that is blocked chi. It's like if any of you have done martial arts, Tai Chi, or studied the Oriental systems of thought, you know that like the acupuncture meridians that run through the body, there is a life force that goes through that's been called chi and various other terms, prana. There is air prana, blood prana, nerve prana. And as these channels, if one of them gets blocked, it causes a congestion, and that congestion is easily perceived by the aura meter, even by an inexperienced dowser. So, see, she's got an area of blocked chi here. Now, I could also at this point will that to clear. Now, this is a little more advanced step, but I could just will that energy to form to clear, and you could use your various methods that different schools use, and then I can see if it's gone then quite as readily. No, not gone. Now I'm just going to ask, is this of a, yeah, this is physical. Okay. I went through a series of lists in my mind, which I want to discuss about charts. You can douse what it is on a chart, but it appears to me that there is a glandular weakness present here. What it is there is a liver weakness that is, yeah, okay. Yes. And the reason that there is a liver weakness, which is a physical disharmony, and see, what I did mentally, I'm going to show you how to do with charts. And this physical disharmony is produced by mental others thought forms that have weakened the physical body as a secondary condition. So, see, I asked for a physical disharmony, yes, and that's what I got. But the cause, the true cause, is on the mental others plane. Another person's thoughts directed at her have produced a weakening in the physical organ as a secondary product. You know, so you have to look at any physical manifestation may have a cause on the physical, mental, or spiritual planes. And in this case, the physical manifestation, see, I'm feeling a congestion of the liver chi, is due to other people's thoughts that have caused a weakening. It's someone she knows, and 2 years ago. 2 years ago, someone hooked into her liver, and it has gradually weakened the liver. So we'll work on that in a later time. It's not it's not the context of this tape, and it's in some other of the tapes that we'll discuss this phenomena, and we will work on this later. But I just wanted you to understand that in planes of causation, the physical manifestation is the crystallized form of the disharmony. So, but getting back to the actual detection, you can detect it with the aura meter quite readily. You can detect it with the L rods quite readily. Now, the nice thing about the aura meter is that you will get a pattern aspect, whereas with the L rods you get a general force field as they fan out. The aura meter will give a pattern, the twitching pattern. It's almost like a mandala or a song. You could translate it to a song or a mandala, a picture or a song of what the disharmony is. Very, very negative disharmonies are violently twitching. That's because anything extremely negative is very angular. Everything with a lot of angles causes a lot of weakness. That's why houses that have a great many angles in them, like some of the modern architectural wonders, are extremely weakening. Because the more angles, sharp, weird angles in a house, the more weakening they are, because it is a pattern of disharmony that reflects even up into the spiritual planes. And dark forces will actually catch into angles of a house. And that's why when you detect a very disharmonious energy, you will get many, many angles. All right, so we've talked about how dowsing works. We've talked about what dowsing is. We've talked about the tools. And I promised I would show you charts. Now, you won't be able to see this too well, but there are many charts in the books that are available from Right Hand Press that show ways to douse and things to douse about. For instance, you can douse things to do. You can douse what sort of trauma a person is feeling. You can douse a color to wear that day. And dowsing over charts, it's like your subconscious knows what it needs to be well, to get well. It's like, if you think of the Jungian theories, there's universal mind, you know, and then there's the unconscious, the subconscious, the conscious. Well, what we're looking at here is with dowsing, you're tapping into the subconscious, your subconscious mind.